Still staying with the First Bank, and Central Bank issued, that's the directive of the Central Bank, actually the management and the board of First Bank, and a new board was reinstated immediately. A lot of reactions have actually trailed this, and we've been on this for some time. But I have a capital market analyst now, Mr. Ariwan Hamza, who joins me now also via Zoom to talk more on this. Mr. Hamza, thank you very much for your time. We apologize for all of the stress.
Very much for having me. Good afternoon, my brother.
Yes, first straight go to what's your reaction to this move by the Apex Bank? How would you rate it? What's your assumption? What do you make of it?
Okay, thank you for having me and for bringing this topic up. This is one of the first, let me say the first time since 2020 that we are having the central bank rising up to the occasion when it is most needed. To that effect, I want to first and foremost congratulate the investing public, then appreciate the First Bank and congratulate First Bank, the CBN, and appreciate the governor of the CBN.
Can you hear me? Okay, Mr. Hamza, I'm still staying with this. As a stockbroker, as a shareholder, now I'd like you to react to how all of this kind of corporate governance issues affect your confidence in the market where you trade. All right, then we'll try to...
Our own...
Okay, so did you get my question, Mr. Hamza?
Yes, you want me to respond to the corporate governance issue?
Yes.
Hearing, right?
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Thank you. That's why I said I appreciate you for going to the corporate governance issue, because that is our own major interest. You see, if you look at the history of this matter, well, it doesn't have a very long history. It's just something that started around April 27, 28. And was reversed by April 30th. Now, before this thing, there had been some issues that the CBN, from what we can see in the media, the CBN had been writing the bank, copying both the chairman and the major shareholders. And they have been writing them that there are some loans. Don't forget, from what we heard from CBN, this is a bank that's under forbearance. So there are these loans, especially with respect to that of Honeywell and Bharti Airtel. I'm not here to attack the personality or person of therefore. Neither am I here to talk about some of the corporate rascalities that went in. But we are here to address the corporate governance issue. And if you look at the response, because I had read quite a number of things on this thing, and if you look at the response of the chairperson, that is Ibukun Awoshika, to the letter that to the disbandment of the board, you would see where she said, or where she wrote that when Shola Shola, the CEO of First Bank, he will be suspended and his deputy will have to take over. And she said, this is subject to regulatory approvals. But before she came to subject to regulatory approval, she had already said takes immediate effect. Which one do we take? And the take immediate effect is the one they acted on by asking the man to go with immediate effect. Then you are saying this is subject to regulatory approval. The regulators you are talking about, they didn't even know anything about what you are doing. And you just, you took unilateral decision without any consultation, without any due process. And these are things that we have been talking about since. We've been talking about these things for decades. This corporate governance issue is something that has brought that is limiting our growth in the Nigerian capital market and economy as a whole. You just look at it. If that thing was to continue like that, what do you think will be made of First Bank in the next 5 years? Just one single shareholder, one shareholder will hold a bank the size of First Bank by the jugular. I mean, we have to be more reasonable when we are doing our things. Look at what the things has caused now. Ibukun Awoshika, how do I get motivated by her speeches now? Or is it the woman that sat over the committee that implemented this thing, Dr. Ijeoma Ijedima, who incidentally happens to be the first vice president or vice chairman, as the case may be, of Institute of Directors? How will she stand in front of, how will she stand before the likes of the Shola that she did all these ones to, and his colleagues, to say she wants to contest presidency for the presidency or chairmanship of the board?
So if you look at what CBN has done, what would you say? Because the bank has been also on a forbearance for some time, and that didn't really reflect in their books. So do you think,
according to, yes.
What do you think of that strategy?
Those are the things we have been saying. Those are the things we are saying. Now shareholders are even clamoring that when any bank or an institution is under forbearance, they should let at least the members of the audit committee, who are representatives of the minority shareholders on the board, audit committee, mind you, that they should let them know, they should copy the chairman of the audit committee, so at least we will have some knowledge of what is going on. This corporate governance issue, in fact, something like this happened in Unity Bank, where the chief executive and some few people just surreptitiously on their own just sat and removed the company secretary. We have petitioned the Securities and Exchange Commission, the AMCON, several regulatory authorities, including but not limited to the CBN, NDIC, name it. There is none of them that we have not petitioned, but nothing has been done. So that is one of the things that gives us joy when we see the step they took here on First Bank. Hello?
So do you think this, I can hear you clearly, just go ahead. We're communicating. Now, would you say the board members or some board members, there's a law, yeah, actually, but would you say they have too much powers in controlling or running activities of the banks?
Obviously, they exercised too much powers. It is not that they have it, because there are laid down rules and processes. You have the Companies and Allied Matters Act, that is the ground norm. But in the banking sector, you also have the BOFIA, which the central bank governor relied on to sack the board and commission another board. So we have all those, and of course they have their MEMAs, Memorandum and Article of Association. They did not follow, from what we have seen here, they did not follow due process, and that is what has led to all this. So I don't want to start mentioning names, but I mean, we all know that the major brain behind this thing is about Sudepo, with all due respect, because he's the one behind the Honeywell loan as well as the Bati Airtel loan. So it's just that CBN has said, okay, make sure that you liquidate these NPLs and bring, so that the bank can stand on its footing. It is that simple. Then what did they do? Probably the MD was serious about implementing the CBN order, while some other board members were not. I mean, so we have where we are.
So now, back to the CBN. What more do you think, aside CBN, SEC, and all of these regulatory agencies, what more checks do you think they need to put, into the system for us not to have a recurrence or something like this again anymore in the banking industry?
Yes. Thank you. We, as capital market activists, we are also part of those to put them in check. And to that effect, like I said, when we see such thing, we write to the regulators, and if they don't act, eventually we will have to go to court. And I think that is where we will be heading on this Unity Bank if they don't do anything still. But we have written them that it is not enough sacking the board. We need you to investigate and know how deep this thing has gone, and each of the actors in this thing, we want to know what role who played. So that, or each and every one of them must be brought to book. It is not enough to just disband the board and say, okay, just go. No, they must have to explain, and the public must have to know what happened. Now the public knows that the bank has been under
All right there, Mr. Ridwan Hamzadeh, the capital market activist, and of course also a shareholder, a concerned shareholder there, making his position known on this very issue and how it affects shareholders and confidence in the Nigerian banking industry. Market activist, and he's making his position on what more should be done by the likes of CBN and SEC. Can you wrap up your submission?
Okay, thank you. We have asked them to investigate. Yes. Am I on?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. We have written them to investigate and, like I said, bring each participant to book. We are not after any individual or group. All we are saying is investigate. We want to know what happened, and let whoever has done something, people must be held accountable. People must be responsible for their actions, and that is what we are saying. We have asked the CBN and quite a good number of them regulating the bank. We have written them, and we expect them to live up to expectation.
Has this affected the confidence in the shares in any way? Has it affected the confidence of our shareholders like you?
Of course, it has. It's dealt a big blow, but I am glad that the CBN came in on time, because if you look at, we expected, for instance, that when that thing happened, of course, if you looked at it, you would see that the following day, the shares of First Bank lost. It was in the red. But because of the swift action of the CBN, it has stabilized. So you would see that when regulators are up and doing, investors will have confidence. But when regulators look at the issue, this kind of thing happened in Skybank too. And I am sure that we raised the alarm that time. And it was about they were to change their memo to allow for the company secretary to become an ED that time. But he had already started answering ED before the meeting that was to change the memo was held. And the CBN knew about all these things. They did not do anything. We petitioned, nothing came out of it. Look at where Skybank is today. And if you look at the industry, these are the kind of things, if the regulators are not living up to expectations, then you will see a lot of sharp practices go on. And that is what you are seeing where, that's what let me put it this way, that's what we saw where a Sikla in Skybank was buying an anemic Afribank that time. Today, now, in the street, the fillers in the streets are, let me give you just two of them. One, it's either Zenith or Access is buying over Union Bank, or that First Bank that is still under forbearance is buying Polaris Bank. Polaris Bank, which is still the subject of litigation anyway. So, I mean, all of these things, if you have regulators that are that live up to expectation.
All right.
There will be confidence, and the economy will be good for it.
All right. Hopefully, when we'll be talking corporate governance, I will have you join us again to talk more about this. Thank you very much, Mr. Amzat Ridwan. There is a capital market activist and, of course, a shareholder. Thank you for your time.